Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to talk about the rental revenue in Italy.
Before to talk about taxation, we have to first talk about the type of rental contract. This is because based on type of rental contract, we will apply a certain type of taxation. In Italy we have the most general contract, which is called a free rent, canone libero. This means that you can ask as much as you want to your tenant, so you can rent your property as much as you want towards everybody and with no temporal limits. Can be done among everybody, like company towards private, privates towards companies. There are no temporal limits, so you can stay for 10 years or 20 years. There is not real limit. There are some certain templates in which you will find 4+4 contract, 3+2 contract. This is not really a big deal. And then this type of contract are used also for touristic contract for less than 30 days. In this case, it's not mandatory to register the contract in case you're not act as a professional activity. Then we have another type of contract called agreed rent, which is in Italian called canone concordato, and this works only between private people, and the rent has to be below a certain threshold. And this threshold is calculated by tenant and owner territorial associations. So there is an entity which is entitled to provide this calculation. So why I'm doing these differences and why the threshold is so important? Because based on the threshold, you will have a big difference in terms of taxation. So the canone libero, the free rent, will have this particular taxation. The IRPEF will be taxed at 95% of your income, so 5% of it is excluded, and you have to also pay 2% every year, which is the registry fee or the registry tax. And the minimum value you have to pay is €67 regardless if this 2% is below this amount. And €60 duty stamp each contract page. So this is what you have to pay in case of canone libero, free rent. But then we have the agreed rent, canone concordato. The canone concordato is applicable only if you respect the threshold we have just talked before. But if you respect the threshold, the IRPEF will be taxed only at 65% of your income. The registry fee still remains 2% with a minimum value of €67, but we will get a discount of 25% of it. So you calculate 2% and then remove 25% of it. Still €60 duty stamp for contract page, but the canone concordato or the agreed rent give you a discount of 25% of your property tax. And as a cherry at the top, tenant gets deduction after tax up to almost €500 per year. What does it mean this? It means that your tenant will get 1 month free. So instead of paying 12 months, he will pay 11 months because 1 month will be given back to the tenant from the state. So
it might look and sound complicated, but keep in mind that with the RPF taxation you can use all the massive deduction.
And here instead is where we opt for cedolare secca. So if we decide to apply the cedolare secca option, everything becomes extremely easy to manage. It's very, very, very simple. Indeed, the free rent canone libero, it's just a tax of 21% flat, regardless your income, regardless your progressive tax. It's just a separate taxation of 21% and nothing else to pay. But if you respect the threshold of the agreement rent, this fall to 10%. And in addition of this 10%, you will get also discount of 25% of your property tax, and the tenant still gets deduction after tax up to €500 per year. When I say up to €500, it means based on the amount of money, based on the revenue of the tenant, the amount of deduction starts from €200 up to €500. But if this tenant is a guy that is quite rich, is a person quite rich person, is not entitled to get nothing back. So it's based on revenues.
At this point, what is the best solution? To RPF taxation, go to RPF taxation or cedolare secca one? Well, the answer is depends. The cedolare secca might sound very attractive. It's simple. There's nothing to do. But RPF could reduce a lot your fiscal pressure through deduction and deduction after tax. So in general cases, if you have already an income, such as an employee income, then the cedolare secca starts to make sense. In addition, every year you could decide to switch from an option to another. So we have this huge amount of flexibility. So if you want to know more about the details about rental taxation in Italy, drop me an email on ESENtaxa@gmail.com. If you are interested in international taxation, visit my blog www.ESENtaxa.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel in order to be always updated on Italian fiscal matters. Please subscribe and click the button below.